What if the first rebellion didn't happen on Earth? In the ancient book of Enoch, there are beings called the Watchers. They were not sent to rule humanity, only to watch. But according to Enoch, something changed. They looked at humanity and chose to descend. And in that moment, heaven's order was broken. This was the corruption that came before the flood, before Noah, before judgment. But they didn't come empty-handed. They brought knowledge humanity was never meant to possess. Next, we uncover the secrets they taught mankind. But first, would you want forbidden knowledge? If it changed humanity forever? What if humanity advanced too fast? Because it was taught? In the ancient book of Enoch, the Watchers didn't just descend. They began teaching. They taught mankind weapons, warfare, manipulation, and secrets humanity was never prepared for. According to Enoch, they also revealed hidden knowledge of the heavens, the stars, and the earth itself. But knowledge without wisdom became corruption. The problem wasn't knowledge itself. It was what humanity became after receiving it. This was the beginning of the corruption. The same corruption that would eventually lead to the flood. But the Watchers didn't stop there. Because what came next was never meant to exist. Next, we uncover the birth of the Nephilim. But first, do you think forbidden knowledge makes humanity stronger or more dangerous? What came after the Watchers was never supposed to exist. In ancient traditions connected to the book of Enoch, the Watchers produced offspring known as the Nephilim. These weren't ordinary beings. They were described as powerful, violent, overwhelming, and as they spread across the earth, violence spread with them. According to Enoch, the world before the flood became corrupted beyond recognition. The danger wasn't just their size, it was what they represented. This was the breaking of order. The moment heaven and earth became corrupted together. And according to ancient tradition, this is why judgment came. Because the flood wasn't just destruction, it was a reset. Next, we uncover why the flood became necessary. But first, do you think the flood was punishment or protection? What if the flood wasn't just punishment, but a reset? What if the flood wasn't just punishment, but a reset? According to ancient texts, the world before the flood had become corrupted beyond recognition. The Watchers brought forbidden knowledge. The giants brought violence, and humanity lost its balance. In Genesis, it says the earth became filled with violence. So the flood may not have just been about destroying humanity, but stopping the corruption from spreading further. And in the middle of that chaos, one man was chosen. But if the flood erased the corruption, why do echoes of it still appear throughout history? Because according to some traditions, something survived the flood, and what survived may have changed the world again. Next, we uncover what may have survived the flood. But first, do you think humanity would repeat the same mistakes again? The flood destroyed the ancient world. But what if it didn't destroy everything? In ancient traditions connected to the book of Enoch, the flood reset the earth. But not every influence disappeared. Because after the flood, humanity began repeating the same patterns. Knowledge survived. Ambition survived. The desire for power survived. And maybe that was always the deeper danger. Not giants, but the corruption inside humanity itself. Because even after judgment, humanity continued chasing the same things. So maybe the flood wasn't just a warning for the ancient world. Maybe it was a warning for every generation after it. And if the pattern survived, then the influence may have survived too. Because some believe the rebellion never truly ended. Next, we uncover whether the Watchers still influence humanity today. But first, do you think humanity learns from history, or repeats it? What if the rebellion never actually ended? It just evolved? Ancient texts never say the influence disappeared completely, only that judgment came. Because the same patterns still exist today. Pride, greed, corruption, obsession with power. So maybe the real influence of the Watchers was never physical. Maybe it was the temptation to rise beyond limits, to seek power without wisdom, knowledge without balance. Because every generation faces the same choice, alignment, or corruption. The flood ended a world, but it never removed humanity's struggle within itself. And according to ancient tradition, the story of the Watchers ends with judgment. But the final mystery is this: why were they bound? Next, we uncover the final judgment of the Watchers. But first, do you think humanity is progressing, or repeating ancient patterns?